Have you ever stopped to think about how people in the Middle Ages made it through those brutal, icy winters? No electric heaters, no cozy thermostats, just sheer determination and a bag of clever tricks passed down through generations. It's hard to imagine, but medieval peasants didn't just survive. They thrived, using methods so smart, we're still talking about them today. From the homes they built to the food they preserved, every detail of their lives was a carefully crafted shield against the cold. Let's step back in time and uncover their secrets, one warm layer at a time. Picture this: a small village in medieval Europe, snow piling up outside, winds howling through the trees. Inside, a peasant family sits comfortably by a fire, unbothered by the chaos outside. How their homes were engineering marvels, designed with one goal: keeping the cold at bay. These weren't your average houses slapped together with a few planks of wood. Medieval peasants dug their homes 2 to 3 feet into the ground, a brilliant move that tapped into the earth's natural insulation. This wasn't random guesswork. By sinking their floors below the surface, they shielded themselves from biting winds and plunging temperatures. Studies of these sunken homes show they could stay up to 10 degrees warmer than houses built entirely above ground. Imagine the relief of stepping into a space that felt just a little less like an icebox. The design didn't stop at digging. Windows were tiny, barely big enough to peek through, because every inch of open space was a chance for heat to slip away. Low ceilings kept warmth close to the floor where people lived and slept, instead of letting it drift uselessly upward. And those walls, they were packed tight with no gaps, no drafts, just solid barriers against the chill. It was like they'd invented energy efficiency centuries before anyone coined the term. The walls themselves were made of wattle and daub, a mix of twigs, clay straw, and even a bit of manure. Yes, manure. It sounds odd, but it worked wonders, binding the mixture and adding an extra layer of insulation. Tests on reconstructed walls show this stuff rivaled modern fiberglass in keeping heat inside. Plus, it let the house breathe, keeping dampness and mold at bay in Europe's soggy winters. Not bad for a recipe cooked up in the 1200s. At the heart of every home was the hearth, a roaring fire that did far more than just look pretty. This was their lifeline, a multitasking marvel that warmed their bones, cooked their meals, and brought the family together. Placed smack in the middle of the house, the hearth sent heat radiating out to every corner. On a freezing day, it could keep the indoors hovering between 50 and 60 degrees Fahrenheit. No small feat when the world outside was a frozen wasteland. The smoke curling up to the ceiling didn't just vanish. It formed a warm blanket of air that trapped heat inside. Bonus: that same smoke preserved the thatched roof, keeping bugs and rot away so it lasted twice as long. Beyond the practical, the hearth was where life happened. Families huddled around it, sharing stories, mending clothes, or just soaking in the glow. It wasn't just about staying warm, it was about staying human, connected through the darkest months. These homes weren't static. As winter loomed, peasants got to work patching walls with fresh daub, piling extra thatch on the roof, even hanging skins or blankets for added insulation. They turned their houses to catch the weak winter sun and sloped their roofs steep, so snow slid off instead of crushing them. Every tweak was a step toward survival, honed over centuries of learning what worked and what didn't. Now, Let's explore how they adapted their daily lives from sleeping arrangements to clothing, and even how they used animals to stay warm. We explored how medieval peasants structured their days around the sun and preserved food with remarkable ingenuity. Now we turn to their strategies for sleeping, dressing, and leveraging animals to endure the biting cold of winter. Winter nights were a battle against the cold, and medieval peasants fought it with clever sleeping arrangements, shared beds, and body heat. Entire families slept together in one large bed, often a simple wooden frame stuffed with straw or wool. The body heat from multiple people could raise the bed's temperature by 5 to 7 degrees Celsius, making it a vital survival tool. In larger households, even servants joined the pile. Privacy was a luxury no one could afford. First and second sleep. Rather than sleeping straight through the night, peasants followed a biphasic pattern. After a first sleep of a few hours, they'd wake around midnight for chores, prayers, or quiet socializing, then return for a second sleep until dawn. This rhythm conserved energy and kept them warm during the coldest hours. Fire banking. Before bed, they'd bank the fire-covering embers with ash to keep them smoldering overnight. A well-banked fire could maintain a room's temperature above freezing, and the last person awake ensured it was done right, lest the household wake to a frigid home. Clothing was more than fashion. It was armor against the elements, crafted with practicality in mind. Wool and layers. Wool was the backbone of medieval winter wear, worn in layers from tunics to cloaks. A typical peasant might sport a linen shift, a wool tunic, and a heavy cloak, trapping heat close to the body. Wealthier villagers added fur linings, but even the poorest used straw stuffed into shoes or wrapped around legs for extra insulation. Animal skins. Hides from sheep, goats, or rabbits were sewn into mittens, hoods, and blankets. Tanners in the village processed these skins with fat or urine, a smelly but effective way to make them supple and warm. A single rabbit pelt could line a hood, keeping ears from freezing. Nighttime gear. At night, they piled on extra layers old cloaks or blankets made from patched scraps. Some even slept with their day clothes, on a habit that doubled as a time saver for early mornings. Livestock weren't just food. They were partners in warmth, integrated into daily life with purpose. Indoor companions. In smaller homes, animals like pigs, goats, or chickens lived indoors during winter. Their body heat could raise a room's temperature by 2 to 3 degrees Celsius, and their breath added humidity to dry, frigid air. A cow, if you were lucky enough to have one, was a walking furnace, often kept near the family's sleeping area. Straw bedding. Animals and humans shared straw bedding, which soaked up heat and kept floors from turning to ice. The mix of manure and straw composted, slowly releasing a gentle warmth, a medieval version of underfloor heating. Shearing schedules. Sheep were sheared strategically, often leaving enough wool to keep them warm while providing fleece for human use. In return, peasants ensured animals had windbreaks or extra hay, knowing their survival was tied to their own. But survival wasn't just about the body. It was also about the spirit. In the final part, we'll see how they kept their morale high through stories, music, faith, and fun. As the winter nights stretched long and the cold bit deep, medieval peasants faced not just a physical battle against the elements, but a mental one as well. The darkness and isolation could easily lead to despair, but these resilient people found ways to keep their spirits bright. Through stories, songs, faith, and laughter, they wove a tapestry of warmth that went beyond the physical. Let's explore how they nurtured their souls through the harshest season. In the flickering light of the hearth, with the wind howling outside, the art of storytelling came alive. Elders would regale the young with tales of brave knights and cunning tricksters, of magical creatures and hard-won wisdom. These stories weren't just entertainment. They were a lifeline to a world beyond the village, a reminder that even in the darkest times, heroes could emerge. A common tale might recount a shepherd outsmarting a wolf pack to save his flock, offering both excitement and a lesson in courage. Moving from tales to tunes music was another balm for the winter-weary soul. With simple instruments crafted from wood and bone like flutes, drums, or even a makeshift lyre, villagers would gather to sing and dance. Their voices rose above the crackling fire, filling the cramped homes with life. These weren't grand performances, but heartfelt expressions of community and joy as they stomped and swayed to rhythms that chased away the chill. Faith was a cornerstone of medieval life, and winter brought its own sacred rhythms. The Feast of St. Nicholas, celebrated on December 6th, was a highlight, a time of gift-giving and gratitude that reminded them of generosity, even in lean times. Villagers would trudge through the snow to attend Mass, their breath visible in the chilly air, then return home to share a small treat or a kind word with neighbors. Such observances provided hope and a sense of purpose amidst the gloom. To lighten the mood, peasants turned to games and jests. A game of dice played with carved bones or wooden pieces might spark laughter and friendly rivalry around the fire. Riddles were another favorite, sharpening wits and bringing smiles. What has a head but never weeps has a bed but never sleeps, they'd ask, chuckling as someone shouted, "A river." These light-hearted moments fostered bonds and broke the monotony of the long nights. Through these practices, medieval peasants did more than survive the winter. They thrived as a community. Their stories, songs, and shared laughter were as vital as the food they ate or the fires they tended. In the face of adversity, they found strength in each other, a lesson that echoes through the ages. As we bundle up in our modern comforts, it's worth remembering the ingenuity and resilience of those who came before us. Their winter tales remind us that warmth comes not just from fire, but from the human spirit.